Phil Landry. I'm the Executive Director of the PMO and Engineering from MB Power. We're sitting here on the beautiful St. Croix River, right beside the Miltown Dam. MB Power has been around for a lot of years. We were formed back in the 1920s as an organization, as MB Power. But prior to that, three communities were being fed from MB, not from MB Power, but electricity was around back in the late 1880s, and predominantly at the time, the three main communities that were being fed by electricity were Moncton, Fredericton, and St. John. The dam here has been around since the late 1800s. We purchased the dam in 1958 and been operating it ever since. The dam has, in its originality, had 7 units to produce electricity. Over the years, some of those units have failed, so now we're down to 4 units in it, and it produces about just a little bit shy of 3 megawatts. During our studies, when we were looking at what were the next steps for the dam, it was determined that the structure of the dam was really in poor condition, so it really had outlived its life. And so we're in the process, as we all know, to get recommendation to decommissioning the dam. And I don't know if you can sort of see behind me, but the dam is sort of made up of sort of 2 sections, we call. One section on my right is the powerhouses, so that's where the units are. All 7 units are still there, with the exception of 1 unit 4 was removed a number of years ago. But all the other units are still there, however there's only 4 of them operating. And then on my left, you can see the spillway. And if you see right behind me, you can actually see water flowing through. So we need to be able to flow water depending on what time of year it is. So the decommissioning process is going to sort of be divided in, I'm going to say, 2. Where we're standing right now is about on the international border between the United States and Canada, which makes this project even more complicated just from a permitting and a regulation standpoint. Obviously, we have to have all the regulation and permitry done on the Canadian side, and then obviously the same thing on the American side. The way that we're going to decommission the dam, we're going to start on the Canadian side, and we're going to remove all the buildings, all the man-made structures will actually come out of the river, while we're removing the infrastructure on the Canadian side. Water will obviously flow along on the US side, so we're not going to actually stop the flow of the water. The Canadian work will be done from the Canadian side, and the American work, which will be done after the infrastructure on the Canadian side is done, will be done from the US side. And the removal of the infrastructure that you see behind me will also take place. During the process, there's going to be all kinds of say economic opportunities for the region. We're going to have lots of people coming in to want to study the river, to want to understand and study the fish response, if you like, to the river. And by the way, once we remove the infrastructure, we're actually opening 16 kilometers of river, which equates to about 5 million square meters. So you can appreciate the ecosystem that can recover, or that can be established by opening this area to a number of fish who we believe will move up the river and take advantage of that. While we're actually doing the work, there's going to be all kinds of people who want to come and study not only the river but the fish. So that brings economic benefit to the area from an accommodation standpoint, meal standpoint, those kinds of things. We're going to have people that want to come and actually monitor the whole monitoring of the fish to study what are the fish doing with this extra 16 kilometers of river. So again, those folks will be here. They'll be using our restaurants. They'll be eating our food. They'll be going to our convenience stores. So lots of great economic benefit there. In terms of when we actually decommission the dam, Then there's economic benefit around, just the companies that are in the area from, heavy equipment companies, trucking companies, quarries and those kinds of things. So all kinds of great opportunity for people and local businesses while we're decommissioning the dam. And once the dam is gone, then there's going to be tremendous opportunity to actually take advantage of the river, right? We've already have folks from the kayak community and the canoe community who are quite excited about this river being brought back to its natural state. One thing that's important to us is that we're looking at this not so much as removing the infrastructure from the water, decommissioning the dam. It's really more about restoring the river back to its natural state. So we're really excited about this project. We are looking very much forward to what the area is going to look like, what the area is going to bring to the community from a natural and having fun, if you like, standpoint, taking advantage of this beautiful area. So we're quite excited about that, and we look forward to the project, and we look forward to making sure that this area is brought back to its natural state.
Hi there, my name's Austin Paul, and I'm from the Kingsclare First Nation in Wolastoqey territory, and I've worked for NB Power for the last 8 years as a First Nations field monitor and liaison. So it's important to recognize that First Nations people have occupied this landform for over 13,000 years, during a time when the landscape was much, much different. There was still glacial ice on the landscape and large animals, megafauna, that have long since gone extinct, and the animals were of far larger size. So it's interesting that a lot of this knowledge has been passed down through generation to generation through the millennia. And there are a lot of these histories have been passed down in the form of stories, legends, songs, artwork, and various other means. And one of the interesting concepts that has been passed down is the story of Gluskap and the giant beaver. And the giant beavers were creating very large dams and very large impoundments on the river systems that was making life very difficult for the First Nations people. So Gluskap came to their aid by destroying the beavers' dams and reducing the beavers to their present size. And these are interesting stories that have been passed down through the millennia because they show that the First Nations people have a memory of these sorts of things, and the values that they place on having a free-flowing river are very strong. And Salmon Falls itself, this site is very, very important to the people. It's located just above the head of the tide on the first major cataract on the river. And in all other river systems in the province, areas such as this are very important gathering places for First Nations people. And the Beskotamookati people have used this Salmon Falls site as a spring and summer gathering site for thousands of years. The archaeological work that we've done here on site has indicated that people have been using this site for at least 5,000 years. So it's a very long amount of time to have cultural continuity. And you think of the importance of people arriving here every year. People are arriving here, they're congregating, they're taking that time to get together, to reconnect, strengthen their social bonds, to pass on information and knowledge from one generation to the next and from one family to the next. You have a myriad of cultural activities taking place here where people are providing for their basic needs, teaching people the ways of living off of the land and of spirituality. There's so many interesting and intricate cultural adaptations taking place here. And a cycle that went unbroken for thousands upon thousands of years until the arrival of settlers and the industrial activities that took place on this river impacted First Nations people's ability to practice their culture in meaningful ways within their landscape. So the removal of the Miltown Dam is of tremendous significance because it does remove this barrier that it has been in place since 1884, but there have been various other river barriers here even before that. So the history of impacts is considerable. So with the dam removal gone, this will free up the area for people to come back and gather like they did traditionally for thousands of years. It'll open up opportunities for fishing, and it's just a beautiful thing to think about that this river can once again go back to its natural state and that this river valley may once again ring out with the sound of canoe paddles striking the gunnels as canoes slip over the cascade of Salmon Falls, and all of the gleeful cheers of onlookers watching from the banks. I think it's a beautiful thing and something to be celebrated.